People hurt people often reduces a complex biological reality to a simple cliché. In truth, trauma represents a severe structural injury to the physical architecture of the human brain. This damage is widespread. In the general public, up to 60% of adults report experiencing at least one adverse childhood event, ranging from neglect to profound household instability. These figures change significantly when looking at the incarcerated population. Within prisons, exposure to severe, repetitive trauma is so pervasive that researchers consider it a nearly universal experience. This creates a friction between our social expectations and biological reality. We demand that individuals regulate their behavior and make rational choices, while often ignoring the physical damage sustained by the very organs required to do so. To understand why traditional punitive justice often fails to reduce violent recidivism, we have to map the specific biological circuits that trauma disrupts. The process begins deep in the temporal lobe with the amygdala. This structure serves as the brain's primal threat detector. When you encounter danger, it flashes an alarm, triggering the fight or flight response that helps you survive. Acute trauma physically reshapes this alarm system. Under persistent stress, the amygdala enlarges its volume and remains locked in a state of chronic hyperactivation. It begins to fire as if a threat is always present. A healthy brain balances this alarm with a safety brake located behind the forehead, the prefrontal cortex. This executive logic center assesses the environment, and once safety is confirmed, signals the amygdala to power down. Trauma physically weakens this connection. As the prefrontal cortex becomes less active, the brain loses its ability to apply the emotional brakes, leaving the amygdala's alarm unchecked. Without this top-down regulation, an individual processes their surroundings through a distorted lens. They may perceive harmless, everyday interactions as immediate, life-threatening emergencies. This circuit failure provides a biological context for the impulsivity and aggression seen in traumatized populations. They are operating in a persistent state of survival mode. The failure of the brakes is compounded by a breakdown in the hippocampus. This region acts as the brain's context engine, responsible for anchoring memories in time and separating the past from the present. Severe trauma is associated with a physical reduction in hippocampal volume. This makes it difficult for the brain to distinguish a terrifying memory from a current, harmless trigger. This state of constant perceived threat overburdens the HPA axis, which manages the body's primary stress response system. The result is chemical instability. The body experiences a dysregulated flood of cortisol, while neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which are essential for mood and focus, become erratic. This chemical cocktail creates a baseline of intense anxiety and depression. For many, self-regulation becomes nearly impossible without interventions that specifically target this underlying biological stress. Take a brain already struggling with fear regulation and place it in the most restrictive environment possible. In federal and state prisons, solitary confinement typically involves spending 23 hours a day in a cell roughly the size of a parking space. This environment is defined by sensory deprivation. Inmates face a lack of natural light, forced idleness, and a near-total absence of environmental stimuli. The most damaging factor is the removal of human contact. The human brain requires social interaction to maintain basic cognitive function and emotional stability. Paradoxically, these units are frequently used to house the individuals exhibiting the most difficult behaviors, the same people who often possess the highest rates of pre-existing trauma. Stripping a human brain of social and sensory input inflicts a profound, active psychological trauma on the individual. When a brain with a hyperactive amygdala and a weakened prefrontal cortex is subjected to extreme isolation, the existing biological damage accelerates. The onset of SHU syndrome can be rapid, characterized by perceptual distortions, severe memory gaps, and vivid hallucinations. Without external stimuli to process, the unchecked amygdala turns inward. It may generate persistent paranoia and violent intrusive thoughts that are contrary to the individual's character. The system attempts to manage trauma-induced behavioral issues by placing individuals in the very environment that accelerates their neural decay. Extended isolation risks shattering the brain's remaining emotional brakes, leaving individuals less equipped to regulate aggression upon their release. Breaking this cycle requires a shift toward trauma-informed therapies that focus on biologically rebuilding these critical neural circuits.
Who do I turn to? Who do I turn to?
Walk back in with a duffel bag, one key, one bus card, one last tag. Mama moved, phone dead, rent due. I know the block, but the block don't know you. Paperwork thick like a brick wall. Every form say sign here, I stall. Online page keep asking me to prove what I spent years trying to get loose. First day home, I don't sleep much. Window half open, hearing loose cuffs. My hands still shake when the door latch clicks. Still count steps like a cell block shift. I tell myself breathe, keep pace, but the same old alley got a new face. And everybody say keep your head up, like clean is easy when the whole world fed up. 72 hours, that's the test. Keep my feet on the floor, keep calm in my chest. 72 hours, don't let me slip. I need a steady hand and somebody to pick up. Who do I turn to? Who do I turn to? First 3 days I need something true. Who do I turn to? Who do I turn to? Oh, I'm a returning neighbor too. Who do I turn to? Job sites.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Returning Neighbors podcast. Sorry, getting confused here. Today, we're talking about the invisible walls, post-incarceration syndrome, and the mental health reentry crisis. Man, we in the building. What's going on, fellas?
What's happening, my brother? What's happening? Everything good?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Brother, you
sir.
right?
Playing.
Yeah, this is a beautiful topic, man, to talk about, man. You know, when you get to talking about somebody's mental, man, and the state of their mind, you know, being in prison and coming out of prison, man, the state of mind is critical.
That's a fact, man. And a lot of people don't really pay attention to
Definitely is.
this
Definitely is.
new science, so we got to get into it. You know what I'm saying? But
I know.
basically, from my understanding, it's just like PTSD, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is. It's definitely like that. And that's that post-traumatic prison disorder. You know,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Also known as PICS, Post-Incarceration Syndrome, is the new technical term that they use in. It's the new sexy label for it. You know, we got to have sexy labels for everything. But basically, it just mirrors PTSD, and we want to get people to understand why it is that way, and what some of the symptoms, how you can recognize it in a person, so that we can be able to better help them. You know, what can we do to be able to, you know, help brothers a little bit more and be of a better assistance to them.
Yeah, so sometimes, you know, when you're dealing with that, man, a lot of people don't know that's what they got, you know, because they wasn't informed about it, you know, they wasn't diagnosed with it, you know, because this is something relatively new to individuals. So they don't know what's the symptoms of that, you know what I'm saying, what's the cure to it. It really, there really is no cure, you know, with that, because what it is it's triggers. It's things that trigger that. You know, if you in a closed off room, or say like you in an elevator or something, man, that could trigger your post traumatic disorder. You know,
Yeah.
you think you in the hole or something. You know, it's triggers to it. I know it's a sister by the name of Dr. Shawana Vaughn. She's a advocate, and she's a policy maker. You know, she's in New York.
Mhm.
Passed a bill. Once we get her on the line, they passed a bill pertaining to exactly what we're talking about,
Mm.
and she's bringing it here to Michigan as well. You know, she's trying to, I know, in Detroit, they did an amendment for that, the post-traumatic prison disorder. We
Hmm.
recently had a art exhibit showcase. Because last month was Mental Health Month Awareness Month,
Yes, yes.
and we showcase a lot of things where people can curve that disorder through art. So we had a lot of people come out, few people come out, display their pieces and talk about how are they able to deal with that in prison, and how they continue to deal with it out here through their art. Because it's a
Right.
stimulus. You got to have something to replace that. And a lot of times, a lot of people that may have that disorder, they may replace it with drinking that may can cause them to have substance abuse, or they may displace it with some kind of pills that may just have them have a disorder. And they, how pills can make you go up or down. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So,
yeah.
and then you get diagnosed with other problems. So it's something that ones need to really look. We need to look into that we got, because we have a lot of returning citizens that may be diagnosed with that. But how do you know the diagnosing of it? How do you know somebody have that? You know what I'm saying? That's some of the things
Yeah,
that are.
I'm just going to piggyback off what you said, Dion. Because of this legislation is so relatively new. It's been in the works for years. I've learned that it's been in the works for 10 years of this legislation actually being passed. But it's so relatively new that I don't even think they even set up the parameters that equates that with PTSD or differentiates that with PTSD, which you understand is post traumatic stress disorder. Um, just speaking on that alone, I believe that anybody who have done over at least 5 years of incarceration should, if not, get this some type of standard of help to see if he can be diagnosed with that disorder. Because what we have understood is the person, whoever did over 5 years of incarceration, can have some level of institutionalization. And I believe, because I think we want to equate the syndrome that we actually see, because if you don't never been just impacted or actually been in prison or incarcerated,
Uh-huh.
you would never have that actual syndrome. So
Yep.
I think
Let's
so.
talk about why are incarcerated populations at a higher risk for PTSD. Basically, incarcerated populations are at a significantly higher risk for post-traumatic stress disorder due to a combination of high rates of pre-existing trauma and the inherently traumatizing conditions of prisons, the environments itself. Researchers often explain this dual risk through the importation model, which focuses on the traumas individuals bring into prison, and the deprivation model, which focuses on the psychological damage caused by the conditions of confinement. So basically what to break it down, a lot of people that go to prison, a vast majority of incarcerated individuals enter the criminal justice system with an extensive history of trauma. The statistics is anywhere between 62% and 98% of incarcerated men report experiencing at least one lifetime traumatic experience prior to their incarceration, a rate that more than doubles that of the general population. These individuals frequently have histories of adverse childhood experiences, also known as ACEs, such as physical, emotional, sexual abuse, poverty, and exposure to community violence. What do you guys think about that?
So you said some of the.
I say I concur with that statement.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. A lot of
People that actually come into prison. I mean, people that came into prison. Go ahead, Dion. I apologize.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. You got the flow. I'm just listening.
Yeah, I was speaking on. I wish I concur to that because when I did do a study of ACEs, you actually do see a lot of people going and being incarcerated already have preconditions of trauma. And what we understand with post PTSD is that it's post-traumatic stress disorder. So an actual trauma or reaction event had to take place. And what the statistics is showing that we have kids who actually going through child abuse, physical abuse, and or sexual abuse. You get a lot of those stories from men and women. And then that actually triggers them to go into the type of lifestyle they go into for,
Mm.
protection, emotional availability with their peers,
Yes, and we know that people
and
that go through
and during
trauma.
that course they end up going to prison. Um,
That's a fact. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just gonna add that that's a fact that people that have gone to prison or jails, most of the time they've already experienced some trauma beforehand, and then on top of that, they have to deal with the environment of the prison, right? To further add on more trauma, because the study says that while we're in prison, we're under that constant threat of violence and
Yeah,
hypervigilance.
and you're absolutely right. Think about it from that experience alone, getting into prison, making that transition from a normal environment to an abnormal environment where you're actually being caged. I
Mm,
think just that alone it will trigger a traumatic experience. You based off of you just being incarcerated, again, being enchained, and actually being stripped of your yourself, getting yourself a name. I believe in itself is so meaningfully impactful that I'm in the room right now, and I can have those experiences of those times where I've been in prison and or correlate these type of experiences out of nowhere, and they will consider that PTSD, which I have been diagnosed with.
yes. Yes, and that's what the studies say. That's what the deprivation model is all about. It's basically once inside, the prison environment acts as the catalyst that can trigger, exacerbate, or create new traumas. Especially for people that, if you've experienced a lot of childhood trauma, right? Say you're a person like me who might have had abandonment issues. I grew up without a mother, right? So I had abandonment issues. I had issues of understanding self-worth, anger issues, all of these issues I had before I went to prison. So once I got inside of that environment and seeing how the environment was, it just exacerbated all of the symptoms that I had already, because now I become more angry, I become more violent, I become less emotionally detached, right?
Yeah. And right quick, man, when we talk
Hmm.
about how did this affect? How did this take on effect? Like
And
y'all was saying at an
mhm.
early age, you could have somebody with ADHD. You could have an individual with ADHD. You could have an individual that may be paranoid schizophrenic, or he may have be on the spectrum of being bipolar. And in our communities, as a race of people, in our communities, we really don't speak about that to other individuals. You know what I'm saying? We really don't take the time out to take our children to places to even get them diagnosed. But once they diagnosed, the first thing they want to do is give you that medication. You know what I'm saying? The activities that you may be doing, that lashing out. You know what I'm saying? Because we got a lot of children now that that's going to school that may be diagnosed with those symptoms. And so how do we that may be diagnosed with those symptoms, and then when they get a certain age and maybe wind up going out on their own and committing a crime, and then go to prison. When you go to prison, you go to quarantine. They don't diagnose you with they're not gonna diagnose you with that right away. You know what I'm saying? They just gonna put you in the room, lock you up. You know what I'm saying? If you paranoid schizophrenic, they don't know that. And going through quarantine, they don't know that you're paranoid schizophrenic. So when you start acting out, that correctional facility, first thing they're gonna do is come in there with the spray you up, take you out, throw you in the cell. You know what I'm saying? Now here it is, you in this cell, basically having an attack, a schizophrenic attack. So now here it is, you in this cell, and now you harming yourself, because it ain't really you. It's that condition that you got in your brain. And then that plays a part. I feel, because I'm not an expert. I feel that plays a part in that disorder. You know what I'm saying? It starts there, and then maybe when you come out of come out of the cell or whatever, and then they start talking to you, and you get to talking to the counselors and the therapists in there. Then they say, well, yeah, he probably got paranoid. He probably paranoid schizophrenic because you don't go to prison with a file from your past. You know what I'm saying? You ain't they you when you get locked up and you go to prison, your medical file don't come with you from the outside. You know what I'm saying? They don't know nothing about your condition until somebody either recognized it, and that's very slim for them to say that they're gonna label you as that. But just imagine how many individuals that's in prison is paranoid schizophrenic, and people that's in prison that's on that spectrum of bipolar, that they don't know about. So that causes a lot of interactions with being violent. You know what I'm saying? Being defiant because they want to put you on the medication, and they got medication, man. Some of that medication will tear you down.
Yeah, well,
Tear you down, and then prison. And when you in prison and you got that kind of you've been diagnosed with that, and they giving you that medication, and you ain't trying to take that medication, and you trying to eat because the food ain't all that good. You can't, so you selling your medication to somebody don't even supposed to be taking that stuff. And I hear they taking it and they flipping out. So you gotta, it's a slippery slope dealing with that disorder along with complications of the disorder that you already have going into prison.
it is. And just to get people to understand what that feels like and what that's like for a person. One of the things you have to understand is that prisons are highly volatile environments where individuals face a persistent risk of physical and sexual assault from both other incarcerated people and correctional staff. Up to 25% of incarcerated men report being sexually victimized during the sentence. This constant danger forces individuals into a chronic state of hypervigilance and a perpetual fight or flight response, which are core components of PTSD. Even witnessing violence behind bars can induce severe psychological distress. Very true, man. And it's surprising that that number is so low, up to 25% of incarcerated men being report to being sexually victimized. We know that most of the time men will not report. They will not self-report anytime that they've been victimized sexually. So I'm pretty sure that number could possibly even be higher than that.
I'm quite sure it is. Quite sure it is.
But if you're a person in that, right, you come to prison, right? I had once wrote in a rap to get people to understand, especially the young boys. When I came home from prison, I wanted to get the young boys to understand the severity of prison and how serious it was, right? Because a lot of times, I remember when I was going through quarantine, the young boys was coming in and it was like a game to them. Like, how many years you got, dog? I got 17, I got 40, I got 50, It was like a game. And I'm like, these cats don't even understand the real severity of the situation that they're facing. So when I came home, I remember I wrote a rap to describe that environment. And then I said, imagine being thrown in a cage with other demons in it. And the reason I wrote that was because of the environment in prison. Like, we all, when we in our day, right, in the streets, we think we the baddest, the toughest. We think we the most gangster, and then you get to an environment like a prison, and then you realize like there's levels to it, right? Like, there's levels to it. Like, your gangster, it was gangster to you, but to somebody else, they willing to take it 10 more levels higher than you was. So you start to realize that inside of a prison, you're in an environment where anything can go down at any given time. So that creates that paranoid state of mind, that hypervigilance where you always got to stay on your guard. And that's what creates, in my opinion, some of the PTSD.
Yeah. Going into prison, a lot of people go into prison, bro. They be putting up a front. And the reason why they put up that front because they feel they step into a place, especially if this is your first time and you got some years behind you. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't already prepared themselves for prison in the so-called sense of when they was in the county jail. You know, if you're going through a trial, you say, well, I know I'm fighting this murder case or I'm fighting whatever case that you're fighting. So right then and there, you start, focusing on your stamina. Let me just put it like you focus on your stamina. You're doing push-ups every day. You're doing all this working out because you feel when you get to where you go, your destination is a place that you don't really know nothing about, but you know that it's things that's gonna go on, and you don't got that gun now. So you got to you got to build your skills up. And if you don't got a lot of our youth don't have skills to fight. They don't have it. They because they so used to picking up the gun. But for those that have the skills that got a one quitter hitter, you know what I'm saying? Those are individuals that's working out and it may be their first time going. So when they go in there, their mindset be like, I'm not gonna let nobody disrespect me. I'm not gonna let nobody step into my space. You know, all the things that they come up with to say that how they gonna conduct themselves when they get there, and then when they get there, that's when they get shocked. You know what I'm saying? Because now they looking, you there now. You know, you hearing the noise. You might be walking down the gallery or somewhere. You see somebody get thrown off the gallery. You know what I'm saying? Or you might be walking down the gallery and you see somebody get stabbed in the head or beat with a lock. That's traumatic right there. Just seeing something like that. If you ain't witnessed that, because you out here people. You know what I'm saying? So you see somebody get upside the head, and that's traumatic to them. So they feel like they're not gonna let that happen to them. So when they get in there, it's the stereotype that we look at from people out here that look at that's getting into trouble. The stereotype of when I get into prison, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then you get sucked into it, because for you, but both of y'all know when we get there, the correction officer tell you don't take nothing from nobody, don't gamble. You know what I'm saying? To make sure you in the right place at the right time. They give you the rules, but then we kind of may see one of our homeboys. Now you may not have seen this person in a long time, so that person ain't the same. He know you and you know him, but he may not be the same person as he was when he was out in society, because he rolling with somebody. He rolling with a clique of people. You know what I'm saying? Either a negative clique of people or a positive clique of people. And nowadays, it's a bunch of gangs in prison, from what I'm hearing. And if you rolling with a gang, and if you ain't part of that gang, then you're gonna be you're an outcast. But if you want to come to be a part of the gang, then you gotta go on a mission. And sometimes those missions be brutal missions that you gotta go on to be accepted into their circle.
And the reason why, for people that don't understand prison culture, the reason why people join the gangs is because of safety most of the time. Is when you see that. Can y'all explain, like, bring back to the time when you first got in the joint and you witnessed a violent act, right? And you witnessed something violent. Like, how did that make you feel in your mind, in your body? How did you react to that?
Man, I can remember on the north side.
No, I was gonna speak on that. I was gonna
Go ahead, brother.
go ahead, Dion.
No, go ahead, bro, because I got to call the sister.
Oh yeah, because I was about to say I was gonna. Okay, well, I was about to say, Dion, I was about to speak on that, especially based off of what you speak on, and especially off of what you just said, Justin. My first experience was at Saginaw Correctional Facility. I was just coming down. I was just turned 19 years old, and I went to Saginaw Correctional Facility. The first, and we used to, if people ever been to Saginaw, they keep it pristine. You get what I'm saying? And during that time when I first came down, they had decent food. It wasn't as horrible as it is now. And I seen the routine and how people were more structured there, right? So I'm like, man, this is prison. Like, okay, this is not what I'm actually was cracked up to be, right? And this is within the first week. The time I was going to 500, right? During it's like a little tunnel where you go to the specific parts of level 4. Because I was in level 4 at Saginaw, just coming down with 12 and a half years. And I've seen the brothers. I'm not gonna put the organization out there, right? But I've seen the brothers do a triangle formation. Anybody who's been to prison and know around certain circles, they'll know who I'm talking about, right? They did a triangle formation on the brother, right? What I mean by this, you have one in the front, You have two people on the side, and you have one on the far back end following this guy, right? The guy did not know. He knew what was up, but he did not see what was going on, and I didn't know what was going on. I'm fresh in the prison. I've seen that guy in a closed, gated area get stabbed damn near to death, if not die. That was my wake up call to prison. Oh, this can get serious. Oh, you will not see this coming. Oh, you got to be hyper vigilant. That experience alone shifted me to like, okay, I got to move a certain way right now. Where's the knife right now? Okay, who do I talk to and see what's going on right now? So I can concur with that, and that was a triggering experience. Because when I went back to my bunk, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. This ain't this ain't county jail. This ain't the streets. We got guns. This where
Yeah.
you at. We got to fight grown men, strong men, and actually have to survive. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm like, okay, game is on. You see what I'm saying? So I truly understand how that first hand experience go.
Yeah. I remember for
I
me,
definitely know how that first hand experience go.
yes, for me it was I remember I only went to level 1, so I don't know what the higher levels is like, but I remember my first week, and I was when you got the 8-man cubes, right? And they put me on the top bunk, and my head is the nearest to the hallway. You know, you could easily reach over the wall and touch somebody's head while they sleep. You know what I mean? In the halls. And my first week in prison, I seen a guy get right across from me. He was asleep, and the dude came. I guess he owed the store man. You know what I'm saying? Thought it was sweet, and dude came with the lock and the sock, and he caught him like while he was asleep. You know, and I remember like watching that whole situation, and I was just shell shocked. Like, damn, you know, it could go down anywhere. And I remember trying to go to sleep that night, and I tried to flip my head to the other side, the other end of the bed, so that my head wouldn't be in the hallway. And the CO woke me up like, "Yo, you can't sleep with your head facing that way. You gotta have your head facing the hallway." And I'm like, "Damn, you know, there ain't no protection. Like anybody could just come sock me up while I'm asleep. You know what I'm saying? Right over the wall, like." You know what I mean? Why I can't lay with my head to the other end? You know what I mean? Where the TV desk is. They like, nah, it's regulations. We got to be able to see your head. So that night, I remember not being able to sleep for at least like a week later because I was always up, like just watching movements in the middle of the night, seeing who walking around. Every time somebody go to the bathroom, you know, I'm up looking at them, making sure they ain't too close, or you know what I'm saying, just seeing what's going on. And it took me a while, man, before I was able to really like get some solid sleep in the joint, man. Just because of that was always on my mind, man.
Yeah. Well, right now I got the sister from Silent Cry, Dr. Shawana Vaughn, who's an extraordinary advocate, man, and she's a policy maker, man. So right now I'm gonna let her introduce herself, and she's gonna give y'all a little bit about her and her encounters with prison, as well as the topic that we speaking about, or this PDS prison disorder. So go ahead, Sister Shawana Vaughn, Doctor.
Hi, it's nice to meet you all. My name is Dr. Shawana Vaughn. I'm the director of Silent Cry. I've run a nonprofit for the last 25 years. I'm only W763. And I was born in prison. And so I truly believe that prison creates catastrophic circumstances way beyond what we can imagine. Like, if we navigate being born in a family of addicts, we can navigate that. If we can navigate the trap house, we can navigate that, right? We can navigate whatever is in society. But to go into a prison, I call it like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's like going through something that you can't assimilate yourself for. And the experiences that happen in prison exacerbate every childhood experience you've ever had in life. And so, for me, like, I went to prison as a teenager, and there was nothing that could be ready for prison. Like nothing. People don't even realize that people don't make it home. Getting home is a luxury. And so we're not rehabilitated. Nobody's trying to make sure we're better. And that's not true. These are not true statements. And so I kept hearing, PTSD. I said, I don't have that. I did not go to the military. I went to prison. And it gave me all of these problems that I now suffer from. And so I took out my prison diary and I wrote post-traumatic prison disorder because I don't have post-traumatic stress disorder. And the government will never give me resources for something that it comes with military honor. And I'm never going to be treated. I'm never going to be well. I'm never going to be healed if this is what we keep saying. And so I wrote post-traumatic prison disorder. And though they mirror, they are not the same. And 70 million people plus suffer from post-traumatic prison disorder. And it's not the same. And I'm fighting for legislation across this country to acknowledge that we have a different type of problem and we need different resources. And if we go to the Department of Corrections and they say that they treat, they rehabilitate, and we're clear this is not true, then I'm arguing with Congress that people who suffer from this need a Social Security disability check because you have sent me to a place that is now crippled and disabled me.
Absolutely.
And those are the facts.
Now, could you ask me this question? When you are diagnosed with that, how does, because I do know you got it passed down there in New York. You got that passed there in New York, and you got I think was it some kind of amendment here in Detroit that
I got the city council did a resolution in the city of Detroit, and we're actually trying to do ordinance which would acknowledge it as a city law.
I got a comment for her. Can she hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we've been studying this, the PTSD, and actually we came across a study from Terrence Gorski. He's an internationally recognized expert in substance abuse, mental health, and relapse prevention. He actually termed a new term called Post-Incarceration Syndrome, also known as PICS. And he's basically saying the very same thing that you're saying, that it definitely needs to be a separate term for us that are formerly incarcerated, because even though it does mirror, it's totally separate.
Yep.
Can you explain to people that don't understand, like, what are the common symptoms of this post-incarceration syndrome?
Night terrors, fight or flight, interpersonal relationship issues, isolation. It's a plethora of issues. And it's like an IEP, like it's individual. Everybody has their own trauma from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some things we have collectively, but it's individualized because I don't know what your, so my trauma is not somebody's trauma who spent 5 years in solitary. Like that's another level of trauma, right?
Yeah.
Trauma. And so everybody's prison trauma looks different.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm pushing, thank you, so hard, because I said I wanted to be like an IEP for children in school. Everybody needs an individualized service plan for treatment.
Definitely.
No two people are the same after incarceration.
Mm-hmm. And my question is, because I suffer from it as well, but it's like she said, it's different levels to it. So the treatment is different. For certain people may need different kind of treatments.
Absolutely. So, everybody's gonna need something different.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might fare with talk therapy. Somebody might fare with marijuana as a treatment for their stuff. Somebody else might need a whole psychiatrist and medication. But everybody needs something.
Mm-hmm.
and everybody should be afforded whatever they need to be as well as they can be. Because mental health is not a privilege, it's a human right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So some of the steps that you take to get that into legislation here in Michigan, how has that been going for you and your organization?
So far, it has it's been challenging, but it's been moving. The challenge is that, we have an administration that sometimes doesn't believe that people formerly incarcerated deserve anything. And it's catastrophically going to bite them in the ass in the end, because if people are not well, you don't have a well state and you don't have a well society. So it just behooves people to make people well. It actually saves the state money to make people well. And that's the current plea. Like, how do you want people to come home? Now, if you don't want them well and you want a sick society, then we'll keep on the path that we're on. But if you want a well society, then we'll heal people. And
Yes.
we will give people services, and we will give people therapies, and we will allow people to heal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. You mentioned that how do we want people to come home? And I think that's an important conversation for us to have. Actually, we're getting ready to introduce a bill into the House this week. They're trying to end solitary confinement in Michigan.
Yes. Yes.
Under your clinical experience, can you speak on the negative effects of solitary confinement and what it does to a person's brain?
Solitary diminishes your mental capacity.
Mm. Mm. Yes, the hippocampus shrinks.
The quality of human life.
No matter how long you've been put in that room, it does. It does. It does.
Yeah, studies show that the hippocampus shrinks, the amygdala region that processes fear and threat detection, experience a chronic surge in activity. That's why we have so much fear, and that fight or flight is always turned on. What does that do to a person's mind, having that always activated?
Well, right quick, Miss Dr. Vaughn, I would like to ask you, man, if anyone want to support you in your endeavors to get this into legislation, how can they contact you, and how can they follow you to stay up abreast of what's going on in that arena?
SilentCryInc.org is my website, and they can always email me at silentcryinc@gmail.com.
Okay. It's been a pleasure, sister. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
I love you to death, and
yes,
stay in the fight.
My train's at 12:05 to Philly. Thank you so much.
Yep. Peace.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So that was the sister, Dr. Shawana Vaughn, man, and
Thank you.
She came all the way from a whole nother state. She came from New York, to help to come down here to Detroit, because she's seen the urgency of what's really going on with our judicial system in itself. So she's real boots on the ground. She's real I want to say extreme at times. You know what I'm saying? Because this ain't no game, man. This is real life when we talk about returning citizens that may be diagnosed with that, returning citizens that may have a mental issue besides PSD syndrome. So it's something that needs to be looked at, and like she spoke on, that do we want people coming home rehabilitated, or do we want people coming home acting like they still on the yard?
Exactly. And since we talking about this, I wanted to ask her what treatments help manage post-incarceration syndrome, but I kind of did some little research on it. And everything that she said is exactly spot on, where she said that it requires a multi-model trauma-informed approach. And that's because PICS fundamentally alters an individual's neurobiology and their behavior. So a traditional one-size-fits-all reentry program often fails if they ignore the underlying trauma. According to the sources, the most effective treatments for PICS, post-incarceration syndromes, and carceral trauma integrate evidence-based clinical therapies, meaning peer support and holistic community-based programs is what helps. And that's because when we come home from prison, right, we still suffering from that trauma, and we're trying to make that mindset shift. The people that can help us the best make that mindset shift are people that have been there, right? Because we the ones that can properly explain to a brother what he's feeling and how to turn that off, and helping them build trust and things like that. Those come most effectively from your peer support specialist.
And that's what we need more. We need more of those peer
I
support.
would just like to definitely,
Go ahead, bro.
we do. We definitely need more peer support. Yeah, we definitely need more peer support specialists. Um, actually, that's one thing I spoke about at the event at the Detroit Justice Center.
Hmm.
One of the questions they were asked is, what do you see as the disconnect? You see individuals who are uh creating these theories or these dialogues who have these degrees. I said the disconnect is that they haven't had the lived experience.
Hmm.
If you don't have the lived experience, how can you really help and assist a person? Because you never really have to necessarily make that shift.
That's a
So I
fact.
definitely believe that peer support in that holistic process, because it was brothers that helped me. I mean, to be honest with you, Dion. I mean, you get what I'm saying. One of the prominent brothers was right on the panel with me. As far as that transitional shift, and when I needed people needed advice, or when I need to career path, relationships, or anything like that, it was the brothers that actually talked to me and helped me move forward. Making
Yeah.
that transition out of prison, even though it's not easy at all, after doing that much amount of time, but they made it bearable until I got my footing into getting everything in order.
Yes, sir. Real quick, man, before we continue, man, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, man. Shout out our sponsors for today. Right.
Uh, right quick, man. I just got I don't know if you got the same message that I got from Leanne,
Mm-hmm.
speaking on the brother that we can call, that he might want to talk about what we on today. But
Mm-hmm.
either call him now, because you know we got another call coming in at 12 o'clock. So you want to give him that little time before 12 o'clock, before the brother call.
Yeah, we can give them that time now.
Okay, well let me set it up. Let me set it up. I'm gonna call him from another phone because I don't want that other phone to ring while we on. So
Okay.
let me get that together. I'm gonna
Yes, sir.
pause.
Real quick.
I'm gonna pause myself right quick to do it.
Yep, no worries, brother. No worries, brother. Real quick, man, we gonna talk about Tuesday, man. We got Building Bridges to a Safer Michigan, June 16th, Tuesday. We're gonna be on the Michigan Capitol lawn, man. Returning neighbors will be live on scene, man. We gonna do the podcast from right there, man. We gonna do live in action, man. Y'all gotta come on out and support, man. This event is sponsored by the Citizens for Prison Reform. This is their 15th annual Legislation Education Day. They're advancing justice, supporting families, and strengthening communities, man. This is their time, man. We're going to go out here and meet our legislators. We're going to poly with them, see if we can build. And we're really on this race to end solitary confinement in Michigan. So if you can come on out and support, please register using the QR code or by visiting tinyurl.com CPR Legislative Day. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and they are providing lunch. Lunch will be provided. So tap on in, man. Tap on in, man. Do we got the brother on the phone yet?
I got it ringing. He ain't picked up yet, but it's ringing.
Okay, we gravy. We gravy. See if we can get this brother on the line. They said this brother has a truck, right? This guy has the med truck.
Going to his voicemail, so I'm just gonna leave him a message, man. What's going on, brother?
What you talking about, Jamie?
Neil calling, man. If you
Yeah.
give me a call.
Yep, brother Jamie. Maybe we'll get him on in a
that's
minute.
what's up. Yeah.
But if we can't get him on now, but we'll catch him later. We got a call in coming at 12.
Yeah, that's in a couple of minutes, so we'll get him on here. If he called me back, I called him from another phone, so if he called me back, he'll be able to come in with us either way. If he called me. So, yeah.
And if anybody would like to join the show, you can either send me a Facebook message, comment on the live, or you can just call in to our call-in number at 313-420-8257. If you would like to come on the show, give us a story, tell us your story about survival. You know, if you got a comment that you would like to make about post-incarceration syndrome, just let us know, man. We're going to get you on here and get you on the show.
Absolutely. And you know, we got a plethora of things that we're gonna be talking about on this platform, man, because it's basically a platform that's needed across the country. But you know, specifically speaking, we here in Michigan, and but we're broadening the range out to other states as well. You know, we're here to help give resources. We're here to help direct individuals that may need the resources. And also, we want to hear people's. You know, a lot of people say stories, man, but some of the stuff ain't no story. These is people's truths.
Yeah.
We want to hear your truths, man, and see how you have came through that. You know, like an onyx. You know, so
Yeah.
you got to come out the fire being something different. You know, and that's what we here to help do. You know, right now a lot of people in the fire, man. We want y'all to come out that fire in a different light. You know, like an onyx. So you know that's my preference of being here, and being able to help individuals, you know, guide them to success, man, on their being out, man, because you know it could be a struggle just to stay out of prison.
Mm.
You can be a struggle just to stay out of prison, man. So like I said the last couple of episodes, man, if you've been home over 5 years, man, I salute you. I commend you. If you've been home 3 years, man, keep pushing. You know, if you've been home 1 year, continue to walk the path of righteousness, man, and stay out here, man, and make a commitment not just to yourself. You got to make a commitment to yourself, but make a commitment to the people that you're around, man, because a lot of times people don't believe that you change until they see the change in you. You know, so that's all I really wanted to say right quick before this brother called in.
Yes, sir.
We just here for the help, man. Well, I'm here for the help. I know y'all brothers is here for the help too. I can't wait to, you know, so when I get that information about going somewhere that's in my lane, you know, going to Lansing tomorrow, man. Listen, I hate to say the word I can't wait, you know, man, but I'm anticipating to get down there, man. I might be down in Lansing tonight before the sun come up, so I could be the first person at the door when these people start coming in. You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes down to our legislators, man, the way they talk, some of them, the way they just constantly just try to spin you and, you know, smile in your face and that really makes me feel a certain kind of way because I can see right through all that, man. So I want to touch a nerve, man. And the only way we can touch a nerve is by getting down up in there, man, and tapping onto that vein, boy, that make them move.
Facts. Well, that's a major fact. Also, what's good, my guy?
Yeah, that's another one about our host, man, Oso da Don, man. Our brother
Also,
doing his thing out there, man, with his rap. Got it going.
Yeah, man. When you ready to come back on the show, let us know, man. If you got a minute today, man, we can get you on right now too.
He can call the number. He can call in. He can call the call-in number if he wants.
Yeah.
And we really just out here making it available for our returning citizens, man, and to inform some people that may not ever been to prison, man, how to conduct yourselves around individuals that's been to prison. You know, because a lot of times people come home from prison and you go to an event or somewhere, and then the person find out that you've been to prison, or somebody tells somebody, oh, she just getting out of prison. So when person, oh, he just getting out of prison, so now they edgy about it. You know what I'm saying? They looking at you crazy. They looking at you different. You know what I'm saying? They can't want to approach you. What's going on, my brother? We good, man. We good, man. Getting it done, getting the job done.
Well, it's good to see y'all, man.
Yes, sir. Good to see you too, brother. How's it going?
Man, out here at work, man, just on a little break, I gotta punch the card.
Yes, sir. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. We just talking about that post-incarceration syndrome, how it's like PTSD, and how brothers get to getting something like that, and tips and tricks to how we manage that, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of times we don't really know that we facing with we face with the PTSD, or we suffer from it. You know what I'm saying? Until we triggered, until it happens, right? So I mean, I kind of expected to be being the intellectual that I am, that I had suffered from some PTSD, and I had some triggers that I didn't really know about when I was coming home upon my release. You know what I'm saying? So, and then one time I was driving down Cooper, and I drove past the facility, you know what I'm saying, JCS and the wall, the big wall, Jackson. And I've been in both of them, and I've been in Cotton Correctional Facility as well. And like driving past them, like one day, it just like, I hated the place that I was looking at, but I felt like a guilt, you know what I'm saying, for leaving the people that's still in there, because I know people in these facilities. So like riding by and not being able to help them, and like just like having the vision of like looking up at the ceiling from when you're laying down on your bunk. I know y'all know how that feels. Or looking, if you're on the bottom bunk, you looking at the top bunk at the bottom of it, you know what I'm saying? And like just having that vision as I rolled past, it really had messed me up. I had to kind of like pull over, like take a minute, you know what I'm saying, to gather myself. It really hit me unexpectedly, and that's when I really started to realize, like, damn, okay, I do have some everlasting effects of this shit that I wasn't really aware of. I felt like I was self-aware enough that I knew of some of the things, but I knew I wasn't aware of all of them. But man, when that day, it really hit me, you know what I'm saying, hit me hard, and brought tears to my eyes, and really made me understand, okay, I got to sit down and really dissect this and really understand what, you know what I'm saying, why I'm feeling like this, what I can do to prevent it in the future, you know what I'm saying, and how I can, minimize that feeling later on, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can I get over it? So, yeah, that, PTSD is serious, man, especially coming home from the, incarceration, man. And a lot of times we don't know that it's there until the triggers are pulled.
Absolutely. I got a question for you, bro. Because we was just talking about it earlier. Some of the things that you witnessed, because I know you're a juvenile lifer. You went to prison at a young age, and when we talk about going into prison and walking to the unknown, what could you give us an experience that you went to, that you seen in prison, that was traumatic to you, and it left an impression on you from prison?
Like when you first got in, like
Yeah.
that first thing.
Yeah, so like immediately I'm only 16 when I go to prison. So I go to prison and there's nobody that look like me. Everybody is older than me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is grown men, got beards, got facial hair. They, you know, they working out, and me, I'm just barely hitting puberty. You know, so it's like clearly I was confident. Like, okay, I grew up fighting. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, I can fight. You know what I'm saying? But I'm looking at these grown men. I'm like, oh man, if I got to, like, I might have to use a weapon. You know what I'm saying? So like this is my mentality like coming in. And then like I'm sitting on the sideline one day and I'm playing basketball, I'm waiting on the side, and there's a guy on the sideline arguing with another guy on the court, you know? And I'm just sitting there and like the one guy ain't even playing. I'm just sitting there, the game keep going on, the words get exchanged, and before the game is over with, I'm standing like 3 feet from the guy that's on the sideline talking stuff, and one of the old boys' homeboys came up from behind him, and I tell people this all the time, like I've never seen nothing like this ever again in my life. He had like a piece of pipe, like a metal pipe, and through his knuckles, like stuck out 2 stakes, like 2 spikes.
Like
And he
Wolverine.
held it in his hand like this, and then on the end of it, it had another spike so he could like stab you with it. But he was punching you, and he was punching him and stabbing him like right next to him, and right next to me. And over a basketball game that he wasn't even talking to that guy about. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even talking. It was his homeboy that came in. So like as soon as I seen that at 16, like I wasn't even 17 yet, I seen that. Like it immediately stuck with me immediately. So like I'm not gonna argue with nobody on the sideline. I'm not, and if we do get to arguing, I'm watching you and everybody else around me because it ain't just about you. I realized that immediately. It's like, oh, I ain't only got to watch you. I see y'all running packs. So y'all, I got to watch your homeboy. You know what I'm saying? I got to pay attention who you with. I can't just watch you. You know, so that was one of the things that always stuck out with me, and I think even now today it still sticks with me. Like I walk in, and I heard you saying this the other day, like about sizing people up. I don't necessarily size you up, but I looked at I try to read you, like see if you're a threat, if you pose a threat, or you can't pose a threat to me, and then I automatically look to see like who's lingering around you, like who are you with, who do you have with you? You know what I'm saying? Are you with your female? Are you with your boys, or who you know? So it still has an effect on me today because I still use that mentality to like when I walk in the room, you know?
Yeah. I was just saying, I just dropped that. Like, not always worried about like how I'm gonna escape out of this spot or if somebody did something, what I'm gonna do, and watching every single person that walk around and, you know, just noticing everything, man. That's the crazy thing. I remember when I first got on the yard, man, and I seen the dudes walking around like action figures. You know what I'm saying? Like dudes is jacked, dog. I'm like, damn, dog, you gotta hit the weights, dog. These cats over here looking like Arnold Schwarzeneggers and little
Yeah,
mini blades and 50 cents.
yeah, yeah. And then you looking like, damn, okay, well, I know they ready for war, so now I got to get ready for war. You know what I'm saying? And it just changes your whole mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like walking into prison, like I tell people all the time. As soon as they sends me to prison, I immediately put a chip on my shoulder and was like, I'm leaving how I came. You know what I'm saying? I came with no scars on my head, no slashes in my neck. I'm leaving the same way. You know, and I did everything in my power to protect that and make sure that happened. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I feel like it was survival mode and I had to do it, but like I wouldn't have did it no other way. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have. You know, but at times my shit got rough. You know, because of spending all the time in segregation and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because of the altercation or whatever. But I wouldn't have did it no other way because I feel like it could have been way rougher. You know what I'm saying? If I would have been some type of different individual, it could have been, you know, all types of stuff. I couldn't have not had my own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I was able to hold my stuff down, you know, and I know people that can't do that. So
That's a fact, man. I know when I hear the young boys on the street talk about the polls, they polls, and they be talking about they good, dog. I'm like, that ain't a poll. You ain't
man,
seen.
man, that ain't no polling. But see, this is the thing now that they telling me now. Like when my homeboys call me, they still calling me, and they like, yeah, these young boys now they, you know what I'm saying, they coming in here and they got all these gangster cases. You know what I'm saying? They killers and all this, but They ain't here getting their stuff took and they getting their ass whooped because they can't fight. Their whole life they done picked up a gun and we've been shooting their whole life. So they come into the joint. Ain't no guns in the joint. You can't get no gun. And if you get a knife, I don't care how big that knife is, you still got to get within arm's range. So if you're not willing to, you know what I'm saying? You not ready for that hand-to-hand combat. Like the joint ain't the place for you.
No, it ain't the place to try to learn either.
No, it definitely ain't because a lot of them guys they not playing. You know what I'm saying? Like me, when I seen the guy get hit with this, getting stabbed and everything, I realized that they not playing. So now my mentality is, guess what? I'm not doing. I'm not playing. You know what I'm saying? Okay, y'all grabbing knives, y'all grabbing locks. Yep, me too. You know, like
Yeah,
so.
I witnessed an experience, man, on because I did most of my time on the north side back in the '90s. I witnessed a guy, man, my neighbor. He had a store. You know, he had a nice store, man. He 2-for-1s. He know everything. So another guy on the third gallery, he used to always come to him, getting stuff. The first couple of times he was paying him. You know, then after a while he stopped paying him. So after a while, now you got a tab, you got a debt you got to pay. So the guy with the store, this is the guy with the store. He went to the phone. He was talking on the phone. The guy that owed him money to get off the yard, he wanted to get off the yard. So the guy was on the phone. So the weight pit on the north side was right by the phones. So he walked into the weight pit, grabbed like a 5-pound weight. It might have been a 10-pound, 5-pound weight. We would fit it in his hand, and he walked over to the phone. And I'm sitting there on the bench and I'm watching it because you can't. This is my neighbor. You know what I'm saying? I knew him. I didn't know him that well, but in prison, you don't get in nobody's business when you see something about to go down unless you part of that situation. So I couldn't warn the brother that the guy was coming with the weights. He walked over there, man, and got to bashing him in the head with the weight. And the police came and took him away and everything. But my thing is this: is he owed this man some money. You know what I'm saying? He owed him money. It ain't like he owed him. He had to get off the yard. So he didn't want to pay him back. And the way he didn't want to pay, the way he paid him back was through brutal force. And they wind up riding him out. You know, so it's things like that, man, that can go on. You know, that's why they tell you, man, you be careful of who you socialize with when you in prison, because you may think this person is your friend or somebody that's that's good for you, and then come find out the whole time they plotting against you.
Yep.
I mean, I seen a few boys lose their life in there. You know what I'm saying? I seen 2 at Cotton. You know, nope. I seen 3 at Cotton. I seen one. They tried to call it a suicide. The guy jumped in front of the truck. Literally right outside my window. His head was flat, like flat. The whole truck ran over it right outside my window. And I seen a guy get stabbed in the shower by a guy in a wheelchair, and he killed him. And he was getting in the shower to go on a visit. His people was out front.
Mm.
And yup, so and he got stabbed in the shower and got killed. And then I seen 5 guys in the weight pit. The one guy had a curl bar and he hit the guy with the curl bar. And the rest of the guys that was standing around, as soon as he hit him with the curl bar and he fell, the rest of the guys had 45-pound plates and they threw him on his head and walked out. And it killed him instantly, right there, right in front of me, right in front of me, bro.
That was the main reason why I didn't lift no weights in the joint.
Yeah,
I
feel you.
seen that my first couple months, dog. I was like, oh yeah, we ain't got enough crew to be watching your back, dog.
Yeah,
Right.
that weight pit was deadly.
Yeah, you have to carry yourself like that in prison, man. Because, and I'm to our viewers and listeners, man. We're not glorifying none of this stuff, man. This is just reality stuff that we speaking on to encourage people not to even get involved in no kind of.
Yeah, never do I glorify, you know what I'm saying, or try to act like this shit was cool. You know what I'm saying? Never was this shit cool. And everything that I did was out of survival mode, and because I knew that if I didn't go, my life was at risk. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm not, no way am I trying to glorify or say that it's cool or try to spread the message to no kids. Like, man, I'm telling you what it is, though. When you go in there, you're going to get faced with the harsh reality. You either going to fight for your life or you're going to die in that bit. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. And we just want to get the average listener that has never been to prison. We want you to have that understanding, a clear understanding of why men and women are the way they are when they come home back into society. Because it's such
Absolutely.
a hard thing to do, to turn that off when you're living for a long period of time under these circumstances where every single day you have to remain hyper vigilant. Every single day you got to put on this mask because you can't be looking soft when you walk across the yard. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have your mug right. You know what I'm saying? You got to have everything right all at all points and all times. And you quickly learn that when you go to prison, that everybody is watching you. Everybody pays attention to everything. Like I'd never forget the how fast I realized that in prison, because I was only there for like 3 weeks, and my first 3 weeks in prison, I came from the jail, so I had plaited my hair up and all of these single plaits because I ain't want no man to touch my hair, so I just did my own. You know what I'm saying? And when I got to prison, I ended up cutting my hair off, and I had only been there for like 3 weeks. And I remember walking to Chow, and a random dude that I maybe spoke to 2 times, he was like, "Yo, I see you cut your hair," and I'm like, "Damn." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you noticed that immediately. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I had another brother once told me, he was like, "Bro, I knew that was you all the way across the yard because of how you walk." And I'm like, "Damn." You know what I'm saying? Cats notice everything, like literally everything, every small detail. People watching you. You know what I'm saying? Everything. So they see that. And when you're in environment with predators specifically, because there's a lot of predators in the joint. When you're in the joint, when you're around all of these predators, they watching you like a prey, and you can feel that. You know what I'm saying? So as a person, when you first getting in the joint, you gotta adjust to all of these different environments, all these different personalities, peoples, and the whole time you worried about your safety. You worried about, like Oso said, I gotta come home the same way I came here. So we turn on an extra layer of protection. You know what I'm saying? And that protection looks like anger, it looks like rage, and it looks crazy to the average person that has never been. But when you understand the climate that they putting you in, then you can realize why you have to be like that in order to survive. And also why it's so hard to turn that off when you get into the real world. Because when you get into the world, you can't resolve things the way that we used to resolve them in prison. So it's hard for us to make that switch and to turn that instincts off.
Yeah, how do you turn off something that when you was in the worst situation of your life, this is what helped you survive. So how do you turn that off if you know it's been proven over and over and over and over for years and years and years to help you get through what you was in your dire situation. How do you turn it off now because you home, right?
Yeah.
You don't. You
That's
know what I'm saying?
that's that prison disorder, the PSD that we talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just can't go to war and come back out of the war act and be regular again. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, because it's the same as people that go to war. You go into war, you seeing death, destruction, violence every single day. So when you come back to society, and society is like, no, we don't do things this way. We talk things out. Yeah, we don't get angry at people, and we don't do these things.
But
So for me, the hardest thing when I was trying to turn that off, right? It had to come with self-awareness, right? And self-understanding. Like I knew I didn't want to go back to prison. So it 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 really changed me and how I think, because anytime I started to sense that feeling coming back, that rage, that anger, I quickly notice it, and I try to shut it down within myself because I have that constant fear of wanting to go back, of going back. So in my mind, I've learned to shut it down through fear of returning back, because I know that once this green guy comes out and I'm no longer Bruce Banner and the glasses come off, that rage hit, I can't control what happens after that. So I try not to let myself get to that point to where I'm like that. So I started to open up more. When people offend me, I just try to say it right off the bell, like, bro, this is what's going on, man. I don't like this, how you making me feel on this. And if people don't receive it, I just leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? But it took a lot of time for me to get to this point where I'm at now. Like it took at least 6 years after incarceration for me to drop that. Like I was coming home when I first came home, I was still getting in fights when I first came home because I had that attitude, that chip on my shoulder, like still, you know what I'm saying? That man, listen, you ain't gonna talk to me like that, man. You know who you talking to. So I had to drop that over the years because I kept getting into situations that I was like, man, look, you was close to doing something crazy, or this situation could have led you back, you know what I'm saying, on some accident type stuff. So it took a lot of practice for me, you know what I'm saying? And I know everybody is different. Like we develop our own little coping mechanisms in order to deal with that. But that's the reality for us, and that's what we want to get people to understand, like how hard that is.
Yeah, I know. I had to learn. I had to learn that kind of mechanism as well, man. Because sometimes like each individual has a button. We all got a button that somebody can push that can
Gotta
make.
go, y'all. I
Okay,
appreciate y'all. I'll tap back in later.
sir.
No
Yes,
worries, bro. Appreciate you, bro.
You already know, bro.
we all have a trigger. We all have a button that somebody can push that can take you over the bridge. You know,
Hmm.
sometimes I had a big thing with people talking to me in your kind of way. You know what I'm saying? You just saying if I'm coming to you in a calm tone and talking to you in a calm tone, and here it is, you telling me you talking to me crazy. I call it talking to me crazy. So sometimes when people talk to you crazy, the only solution used to be is just to go on and shut them up. You know what I'm saying? But experience in prison, you just can't, and coming home, like you said, the fact of doing harm to somebody that could cause you to go back, no matter how minor it is. You're a felon. You're a convicted felon. So if you just slap somebody and they call the police and they pull your record file up, you're going to jail for assault. That's what you're gonna go back. You're going to. They're not gonna talk about. We're gonna give you this ticket for a minor assault. They're gonna handcuff you and you're going to jail. You're possibly gonna go back to prison because your record when they look at it. So it's been times, man, that I have to really, like the brother Oso say, man, I have to really scan the room, man, to see who's talking to each other, what kind of conversations is going on, and because I'm not about to jump into a middle of a debate, and then even jumping into a debate of a conversation can trigger an individual to get hostile all over again. So you just got to be careful how you conduct yourself out here and move because some people don't care. Some people will agitate you just to see if you say that's who you are now. So what I do now, I'm up in age now, man. I ain't got time for it. I never had time for it, but I really don't got time for it now. So I keep myself away from situations that may cause a conflict. So like going to some family functions or being around people that's in just hanging out, drinking and smoking and carrying on. That's gonna eventually, yeah, y'all might start out kikiing and he-heing at the time, but eventually somebody gonna say something, that alcohol gonna trigger something, that weed gonna trigger something, them pills gonna trigger something, and now y'all out here full-fledged fighting. And that's what's going on in our communities right now. It started out good, but soon as so-and-so walk up, here he come over here with all the nonsense, and then the person talking about this and talking about that, now it's a conflict. And don't nobody there know how to resolve that conflict.
Yeah. That's why the best and solid advice that you can give someone returning home is to change your circle, man. Change your circle, man. The only way to truly heal, and from that post-incarceration mindset is, in my opinion, is to surround yourself with love, surround yourself with positive energy, surround yourself with people that don't have that mindset, because that's what helped me change. Because by constantly being around people that didn't think like that, anytime that I reacted in that type of way, they would always quickly check me like, hey, brother, no worries to be upset. Ain't no worry to get frustrated. It's all right. We're going to work through this. You know what I'm saying? So that allowed they gave me grace while I was working through that. You know what I'm saying? So I tell brothers all the time, like, get with some people that are, one, gonna hold you accountable, two, that's gonna spread love, and be a true support to you.
Man, I made an amend to myself, man, that I'm not. I really don't want to. I really don't want to be around people. If you ain't been, this is just my conception. My conception.
Hmm.
This the brother Jamie calling.
Okay, perfect,
Uh,
perfect.
what's going on, brother Jamie?
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. We here on the returning Returning Citizen Podcast, Returning Neighbors Podcast, man. And you on the live with us. We was instructed to give you a call because you can help us out in talking about the subject that we're talking about today. So
Yeah.
right quick. Could you introduce yourself to the live and let them know who you are and where you come from and what you're doing?
Yeah. My name is Jamie Mead. I'm the last commutation from the governor. I was released September 24th, 2025. I'm currently employed with Team Cares as their mobile medical unit coordinator. And just trying to catch up on society. I served 32 years, 8 months in prison for aiding and abetting felony murder.
And how long you been home?
Going on 9 months.
Oh, congratulations, bro. Congratulations. Could you tell us a little bit about that mobile health unit? What's the significance of that unit?
Yeah, the Team Cares mobile unit is going out to the communities to provide medical care, dental care, and mental health through the communities in need. I'm going to start taking it. It's fairly new. It's been advertised, but it hasn't been out in the community. And now we're setting up events. Just like the last governor's event Friday, the kickoff for the summer. We attended that, service people, provide them medical checkups. It's a start, but we're going into the communities. It doesn't matter whether it's a project, what type of community it is. I'm trying to get down here to the bus depot downtown to service the homeless. So yeah, it's and it does not cost anything.
I was just about to ask that. So how do you get in tune? How do you get in touch? How will someone get in touch with you in order to get that kind of service for those communities?
You can contact me on my work phone or by email. Work phone's better. And I'll give you the phone number. I would say I'll give you a business card, but I can send you a business card because I did take a photo of it. But my number is 313-480-6539.
Could you say that one more time?
313-480-6539. And these are for, events for, we're going to start pulling up where large population of the homeless are. We help service the kids too. They need it. I'm going to try to get into some of the schools to provide physicals for their sports because we know a lot of families can't afford to pay $30 for a physical so their kids can play sports. Some of them have several kids in school at one time, so and it's kind of difficult financially to do those things.
So could you describe the unit? Is it a bus? Is it a van? Is it what's the operation of it? Is it?
Yeah, it's a 40 foot by 17 foot RV. It has a complete dental chair in it with X-rays. It has a office for mental health and it has an office for medical.
Okay. Do you have a team or you going out solo with this thing? You got a team of people working with you?
We have physicians at Team Wellness has a office or a primary care unit or office or whatever you want to call it, medical, in Eastern Market. They have one here where I'm at, on Mount Elliott and Mac. They have a children's primary care down in Jefferson. And we have another primary care with children's in Southgate.
Okay, that sounds good, man. And this bus has just been introduced to the city, huh?
Yeah, they've been for the last year or so. They've been, doing more advertising, and then they finally hired. I got hired as the coordinator, which fulfilled the position to get it out more. They want it out every day of the week if possible.
Now, let me ask you, bro. I know Jesse got some stuff for you too. But as a returning citizen, man, after doing all that time in prison, man, how does it feel to to be in a position to go back into the community and give back and help the community thrive?
Well, that was my whole goal, was to get a job that I could do community work to provide back to the community. It feels great. It's a lot better than harming the community as I once did. And I being incarcerated at such a young age, this is actually my first job. So, well, I mean, illegal activities doesn't count too much as an official job, but it was a job. But
Yes,
yeah, this is my first official job.
Okay, that's good. That's great, bro.
Yeah, that's wonderful, man. I like the fact that organizations are finally changing their mind and actually giving us these opportunities to be able to do some of the impactful work that you're doing, man. I really love that. But I want to say congratulations on coming home.
Thank you.
First and foremost, we welcome you back to society, and we anything that we can do to be a resource or help for you, feel free to reach out. Our topic today, we're talking about post-incarceration syndrome, and how it mirrors PTSD. With you being home for such a short a time, can you speak on that? What's it like readjusting back into society after spending so much time inside?
Yeah, actually the PTSD. My physician actually diagnosed me with a level of PTSD from incarceration. So my primary care physician actually recognizes that. He said there's been a lot of research lately on that, and it does exist. You, especially under stressful situations, it's the anxiety. You feel that, especially when it was me searching for a job, because I left prison with a.
Did we lose our brother? Lost audio.
Go ahead. My bad. My bad.
It was very difficult with obtaining employment. So the stress of it and the anxiety of it was, real, and it triggers that PTSD. The stress and anxiety does. But I left prison with a bachelor's in criminal justice and 8 classes in on my master's degree. So it was frustrating because of getting a job was difficult. And I could just imagine, individuals with no education, how difficult it is for them. And I didn't want to, go getting older. I didn't want to go for physical labor. I wanted to do more community work. And I never hung drywall. I've never worked on a car. I've never done any of these things. So it would have been a big learning curve if I had to do those things.
I did notice, because I follow you on Facebook, bro, and I definitely was in tune with you coming home. I remember when you first came home, you was over there at your mother's house trying to get it back together, man. So when you speak about the drywall and all that
Yeah.
must have been a task for you.
YouTube. I watched a lot of videos,
hmm
and you're never prepared to come home to something you don't know. And my friends and my people that's really, really close to me, they withheld things, because I came home. I didn't come home to the luxury of a nice house. They gave, they friends and family looked out for me, but I didn't have that. I came to the gutter. So, it's the first week out, there's shootings on my street. So it's it's a situation that is hard to describe, but when you come home to addiction, the family members that are suffering from addiction, and, mother giving up, never thought I'd come home, and to see how they've been living was heartbreaking. So it's it's a hard situation on top of, the stress of PTSD of long-term incarceration.
That's a fact, man. And it just makes you feel like hopeless, helpless. You want to do more, but you can't. I definitely understand how that feels, man. And that's a sad reality for a lot of us, especially with the way society is, man. Where I'm from in Jackson, where I live at in Jackson, we have ordinances that allow landlords to discriminate against you if you have a felony. So we have a lot of people that return home from prison and they're literally coming home homeless.
Well, this is a very important topic that you just brought up, because I applied for a job. I won't say who the employer was, but it was required to be a bachelor's degree, and it was a case manager position, and it was for reentry. And I applied for the job, got an interview, everything. Come to find out, their grant that they received to help provide services for returning citizens requires full coverage on insurance, health insurance. Well, the insurance company that they utilize will not insure someone on parole. So I could not get the job. And that's one thing. So insurance companies in Michigan and across the country are not allowed to discriminate against someone with a pre-existing condition. But then they are allowed to discriminate against someone on parole.
Isn't that crazy?
That's a major issue. So I did attempt to contact my state rep and a couple others, and I haven't heard anything back from them yet. But that is a serious issue, because if you can't deny me for cancer, but you can deny me because I'm on parole, that's an issue that really needs to be addressed by legislation.
Yes, that's one of the things that we talk about. How, you know, we've done our time. We've already paid the price for the mistakes that we made. But to keep getting punished after you've already made recompense, that's the part that is hard for us to get over. We've already did what we're supposed to do in order to make this right, but yet we're still being punished for something that we don't have any control over anymore.
Yes.
I got another question, bro, pertaining to that mobile unit that you have. Is that across Michigan, or is that just in the in the city of Detroit?
Well, the thing with Team Wellness, they do have some clients and offices outside of Wayne County. And they do provide transportation to go get them and bring them back to the primary care. But their primary care facilities are in Wayne County.
Okay.
So probably in the future, the RV will make its way out of Wayne County. But at the moment, it's servicing it until June the 19th. I'm doing Juneteenth in River Rouge and in the projects. It hasn't made its way outside of the city of Detroit. So I'm trying to take it into the impoverished communities like River Rouge, Ecorse, Inkster, some of the areas, even Highland Park, but we count Highland Park almost as the Detroit, just like Rouge, but trying to get it into those communities that really need the services, that can't, that don't have transportation to get to a facility. And that's the good thing about Team Cares or Team Wellness. They do help with transportation. They do have drivers that will come and pick the members up to get them to their appointments.
Nice.
Another question, man, because if that unit comes out and you said it has a mental health aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
When a person, so is it a psychologist on the bus that's talking to these individuals, and if the person do have an issue, do y'all recommend them go somewhere else to get help, or how does that work?
It will either be a psychologist or a social worker that will see them and speak to them, and if they do have a serious issue going on, they can be recommended to come down to one of the primary care facilities and become a member of Team Wellness or Team Cares, and be given the services at the location, the primary care locations. Or if it's a emergency, of course you got to call 911, get an ambulance there to help transport them or whatever.
Okay, well that's good, man. That's good. I'm glad that the team wellness came up with that, and they got the right person on it. They got the right person on the mission, man, to do the job, and that's yourself, man.
And I appreciate that. That's one thing that I can actually say helped me, being an advocate inside the prison system, organizing events, doing legislation proposals. It helped me get this job. And that's what was said. If I can do it in there, I can do it out here.
And you know what, bro? It's definitely not a job, man. It's definitely not a job. When you, a lot of people got jobs, and jobs is like me for say is working at McDonald's somewhere. That's a job. You know what I'm saying? A laborer, that's a job, man. You got yourself in a career, bro. You got yourself established in a place where you could take it further than where you could. It's no limit to that as in your career. So you deserve. It's more than a job.
Know, when you serve the community, when you serve the people, they're not the best paying jobs. We know that by looking at the teachers, looking at some of the medical staff, social workers. Whenever you work for the state, even some of the, the pay is not the greatest. It's about caring and about trying to help people.
Absolutely, and that's all.
I got a question. This show is about returning neighbors and basically reentry. I got a question on for you. Were there any reentry services available for you or offered to you upon release?
Before release, they talked about them all, but once I got out, there weren't anyone that was there like they were supposed to be. Like, I signed up for the mentoring program, it wasn't there. I signed up for Nation Outside, it wasn't there.
Man, that's terrible.
We know those things were, cut by the legislation. So, is it the organization's fault? Probably not. The funding was cut. I understand that, but I did complain a lot. And then all of a sudden, Wayne Metro stepped up and helped with a couple bills. And usually they don't do that for single people, but when you're a commutation who had life without parole, it's a very concerning issue with the governor, because she has ambitions for Washington, D.C. She has ambitions for furthering her political career, which, when you let someone out that has a life sentence, you want them to succeed. You don't want them to fail.
Mm-hmm.
We know where that help comes in a little bit more than it does with a normal parolee.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why it's important for us to keep speaking out about those things. I actually used to work with Nation Outside, and I started the Jackson chapter of Nation Outside. So I'm very familiar with them as an organization and other criminal justice organizations across the state. It's just a weird time right now because it seems like the funding is all over the place, and some agencies are doing better at getting that funding for us. I know Detroit is putting in a lot of work right now to secure reentry dollars. They are coming back available in the state soon. So we need to be on top of it to make sure that those dollars go to actual programs that are effective and have peer-led mentors around, because what I see is people that try to take on the reentry space, they use a lot of people that have never been there, and it's not effective when you use people that don't know what they're talking about, and I think that we got to support initiatives that are going to hire formerly incarcerated people to lead these initiatives because we have the insight, we have the carceral knowledge to be able to help other people. How do you feel about the reentry services, and what do you think that we could do to make it better?
We definitely have to have reentry services, especially for long-term people that's been, incarcerated for such decades. You need people just to help. Like, it's even just asking simple questions. How do you download an attachment on an email? How do you print it? These things we're not taught that before we come home. So everything's a learning curve, especially with technology. But if you had someone, hey, I can call and be like, hey, how do you do this? Without burdening your employer or, someone, then, or even if we could create something that, a program that would put people through it once they're released and actually give them income, pay them to attend. You don't have to pay them $25 an hour. You can pay them minimum wage because it usually takes months to get a job anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Your first job is usually minimum wage or a little bit more. So if you pay them minimum wage to attend a class, then they feel more secure. You get that feeling of, all right, I'm making it. I'm doing it. That encouragement.
Facts.
And that's definitely needed. But, as we know, to get that open ear to listen to us. And I'll give you another example. And again, I won't say the organization, but it's in Detroit. I applied for a violent interventionist position.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bachelor's in criminal justice or related field. And I was told I didn't have enough experience.
On the street for so long, you ain't got enough experience. That don't make no sense.
I'm a violent offender who taught those type of classes on the inside,
Right.
trained with even with Transfer Life. I brought in at Muskegon. I brought in the Alternatives to Violence Project, which is a well-known program around the world. They're in Canadian prison schools. They're in California's prison schools, and they were one of the organizations that did the mediation and conciliation in Africa with the feuding tribes. They, but I'm trained by them, and I'm allowed to facilitate their program, but I didn't have enough experience in violence interventionist intervention for an organization.
Did they check your file, man? Did they check your criminal record? Did they go back that far to look at the stuff that you was out here doing before you went to prison?
Yep. I even explained to them in a telephone conversation.
Man, that's
So do they really want to curb violence in Detroit?
Right. That's the question. And that's what I'm thinking. So, yeah. Well, I don't have any more questions for you, bro. I don't know if you got any more questions for me. We're still waiting on the brother to call in, and I know that I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a while. I was supposed to have been linked up with you a long time ago, bro, but I'm glad you got yourself together and got your career started, and we'll definitely be seeing you with the bus, man. I got a couple of.
Yep.
I'll be calling you for a couple of events to come out, and I'm glad you mentioned that you'll be going up into to the projects and other areas to where that bus is needed at, because
and that's what I need. I need some of you brothers for. We need, just like on the inside, if there was a situation on the yard, we turn to certain groups for that assistance to resolve those issues. That's what we got to do out here. So if I come up into an east side location, that might not be safe for the staff and stuff. Now, I don't care about me too much, but for the staff, then I need to reach out to those groups and those communities and call in those favors from the inside to be able to secure so we can provide those services.
Absolutely. We definitely
But
got you
I
on that.
appreciate it, and I appreciate the chance to tell my story and to tell about team wellness and team cares. And hopefully you'll be seeing the unit coming. And if you've never heard of Team Cares or Team Wellness, uh, Google it, see what services they have to offer, and you just come down and check out a facility. Like I said, we have one in Eastern Market. We have one here on Mac in Mount Elliott. We have one on Jefferson, a Children's, and we have one in Southgate. And we do have Lily Bridge. I forgot to mention that. They service 60 returning citizens down on Jefferson. It's a reentry. It's for housing for people that don't have no housing to go to on parole.
And you said that's called the Team Wellness?
Yep, Team Wellness and Team Cares. Team Cares is under Team Wellness. It is the medical. It hasn't been officially. It's been launched, but not fully. So you can find it all under Team Wellness.
Yes, sir. We are on the actual web page now. For our users, their crisis hotline is 888-813-TEAM. You can reach out to them and contact them for more information on how to get their services. It's all laid out pretty nice on the website here. You guys go check that out at teamwellnesscenter.com.
Yeah. And right quick, we got the brother to call in, brother. If you want to stay on, I don't know if are you familiar with Carlos?
Oh yeah, tell Carlos King I said what's happening. I know who it is.
Yeah.
Well, he's on the line. He's on the line. He's on the
I'm
line.
at work right now, so
Hey, what's up, bro?
I appreciate what's happening, Carlos. I appreciate the opportunity. And
What's up, bro?
Yeah, he at work, man. He about to step off the line. We're getting back on with you.
hey, give Carlos my number. He's still at Macomb.
All right.
Yep. I'll give it to him.
All right, bro.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
All right.
That's what I'll talk about. I love that, man. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, you got the floor. I'm gonna let Justin give you the intro, man, and I'm glad you was able to get in here, man.
Yes, sir. Welcome, brother. Thanks for joining the Returning Neighbors podcast. How you doing, brother?
How you doing, man?
Good. Welcome.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, man. Count went a little long, man, so I had no control of that, man. But I was looking forward to calling in, and being able to, answer or ask any question y'all have for me.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you for taking the time, man, and we know that you don't control the time situation in there, and that's understandable. Basically, we're talking about post-incarceration syndrome today, and we're talking about how hard it is for men to change that mindset from being inside to getting home. And we felt that you could particularly inform the public basically on that mindset and what it takes to survive prison, what it is that a person has to do in their mindset, in order to survive, the things that you may have changed or, situations that you've seen in prison that made you feel that you had to act or be a certain way.
Right. So, just to answer that question real quick, I would like to say one thing about when you ask a question like that, it's about insight, right? The dictionary defines insight as the act or result of apprehending the inner state of things or seeing intuitively, right? So before a person can reach a mindset whereas they want to change, they got to actually go inside themselves, and sometimes that's a difficult thing coming from some of the backgrounds that we come from, trauma related, abandonment, poverty, and, peer pressure, whatever have you, that landed you in prison in the first place, right? So for me personally, man, it took a minute before I reached the level where I wanted to see from an introspective position, because I didn't understand it. How do you reach a perception from the inner when all you knew is the outer, right? So I had people around me, man, and it was different. Prison was different for me. I've been in prison 12,775 days.
That equates to 35 years straight since I was 18 years old. So I came in as a baby, reached adulthood, then reached manhood. And it was all stages that I had to go through. First, it was rebellion. I rebelled against the system because I just didn't agree with authority, especially when you're talking about degradation and reduction and straight blatant disrespect and inhumane treatment. So I rebelled against that. But then when I realized that it ain't really about the external, it's about really how I respond. You know what I mean? And I always thought that when I was able to make a change, man, it started with my thought process. My thought process started to change because I realized that I am the culprit. I'm the individual who placed myself in this position, and it is going to take me to get out of prison. But I had some help along the way. So I ain't going to say it was just some self-realization or something that I just went through on my own. I had a lot of help. My family, you know, they've always been supportive. They've always been there for me. And then these guys in here that I've met along my way, growing up, they was trying to teach me and educate me to better myself. You know what I mean? So I come to prison with a 7th grade education. I dropped out of school. 7th grade was my last grade completed. I was eventually kicked out of all Detroit public schools. And then you talking to a person that I just started college, you know. I got a paralegal certification, Braille transcription certification. I got so many certifications, I don't even want to talk about that. But
Yes.
is I educated myself. I found something inside of myself that was worth treasuring, that was worth uncovering, that was worth giving to the world. And I wanted to be better. It start with that. You got to have a desire to be better because can't nobody force you, can't nobody show. You got to have a desire to be better, and I had a desire to be better.
Yes, sir. I feel exactly what you're saying because I kind of went through the similar situation with myself while I was inside. But how do you get yourself in that mindset when the environment of prison, we know it can act as like a catalyst that can trigger or exacerbate or create new trauma? Like how you keep yourself so focused in that type of an environment?
So I had to suffer. You know, I suffered. You know, I just went to go see the parole board on June 1st. First time in 35 years. I'm up for a commutation. They finna put me through a public hearing. That was the first time I ever seen the parole board. And you know, it was crazy because the first question he asked me, and this would let me believe that they want to let me out of prison. The first question he asked me, he said, tell me about your childhood. And the reason why I say that, to make reference to that, because all my life I heard people say, what's wrong with him? Why you acting out? Why you doing this? But no one ever asked me the question, what happened to you? What did you experience in your lifestyle that made you into the person that you were, right?
Man.
In prison, you know what I mean? When I come to prison, it was more volatile, meaning it was straight up. You had to learn certain things. You didn't have no 10 and 20 years to get it together. You had to learn certain things off the rip. You get into somebody's business, you better mind your business, you better do this, you better shut your eyes to certain things, you better man up, you better put them weapons in your hand. You had to do whatever you had to do because I was a baby. Come to prison, 19-year-old, 135 pounds. And in my mind, I wasn't going to let nobody take advantage of me. So what I did was I created defense mechanisms. I put myself in a situation. If this happened, I'm going to respond this way. If this happened, I'm going to respond that way. And that's what I did. All the way till I got to Bergen Maximum Security Prison. When I was in Bergen, it was crazy because when I was in Bergen Max, you know, I was in segregation at this particular time. And I never forget. I was telling myself, like, man, dang, you smart, man. You intelligent. Everybody saying you got it. I was giving people the knowledge, but I just wasn't walking the example. I was giving people the jewels, but it wasn't applicable to me, you know? In segregation this particular time, I was like, I had enough. And I was like, I want to get out of prison. So I pulled out my transcripts and I was like, I got to get out of prison. And as I was reading my sentencing transcripts, I uncovered the words of her name was Calamito Scarrow. She was the sister of the off-duty police officer that was killed in my case. And she was saying a lot of things, you know, you ain't going to get it. Somebody failed you. You missed the boat. You said in the courtroom you was slandering. And man, at that point, I didn't even know that I was was emotional. I didn't even know that I was crying. I didn't even know that I was affected. But I was affected by her words, and when I emerged from that situation, man, I knew I had to be better. Not just for myself, but the people that was looking to me and saying, man, damn, it's something inside of you. You feel me? So I think, man, it was the severity of my circumstances that really produced who I am today. Whereas now it ain't no back and forth. I walk with it. I got a certain mindset. I got a certain example, and that's why I've met many people in prison that respect me, that seek me out, that ask me for help, and so forth. Because when I started to change, while I was at the worst. I was at my lowest. I started reflecting on my trauma. I started reflecting on the fact that my father wasn't in my life, and those things was aggravating factors for me. But mitigating factors, if I could say it like that really produced who I am right now.
Yeah, I got a question for you, bro, because the broadcast is about to end in a couple. By the time you get off the phone, your 15 minutes. I got a question for you, man. What does your first 72 hours look like of you coming home? How do you envision that?
Man, so my first 72 hours, I mean, I'm a family oriented person, right? But I'm a person that love the people, right? I truly believe that, man, service, man, is the greatest show of love, right? I learned that from Malcolm X, but I want to be amongst the people. Like my first 72 hours, I want to spend some time with my family, but I want to be amongst the people. I want to be in service. I want to go somewhere where I can speak or I can engage with somebody so we can figure out how can we help these people that's still in prison. We have these young men that's out there in prison struggling in their very lives. How can we stop the violence that's happening in our communities? How can we enrich ourselves with the tools necessary to give them something so they won't come to prison? So my first 72 hours is an opportunity for me to engage and be engaged and to listen and to be heard in the way where it can produce some favorable results in the community.
I love that. I
And
love that.
my second question to you, man, are you built for that?
Man, and I wrote a quote one time and I said, man, if I can't say or do anything to help you, I won't say or do anything to hurt you. Am I built for that? When I say you say I'm built for that right now, I'm experiencing love on the whole level. My little grandchild, all the way from Australia, just came to spend her 8th birthday with me. Her birthday was Friday on the 12th. And she here for 10 days because she wanted to spend her birthday with Pops. So if you effect I'm having, her and my wife came over here. So if you tell me about the effect that you having, all my friends and my family that support me. Am I built for it, man? Listen, when I wake up and rise each day before I become set, my whole thing is gratitude. What am I grateful for? So I go in line about the things that I'm grateful for each and every day. You know why? Because as long as I got a heartbeat, man, I got something to give.
That's right.
As long as I got a heartbeat, I got something to do. As long as I got a heartbeat, I'm being depended on and I'm being dependent. So if you say if I'm built for it, man, my whole life is a reflection and an example of my love for the people. Service, that's the measure of who I am.
Facts.
Well, we out here waiting on you, bro. We definitely got a position for you to get you in that position to be amongst the people and talk to the people because it's all about free people, and it's all about returning neighbors, man. So hopefully
Facts.
you'll be on our set in person, and we'll be able to let you accommodate us, in your endeavors. In your endeavors.
Yes, sir.
But before I go, I want to thank you, man. Like I said, man, this is what we supposed to do, right? We supposed to get together and figure out a solution. Like I once heard a long time ago, man, if you cure a disease, the symptoms will go away. I ain't talking about giving people feel good statements or doing something that ain't gonna last. I'm talking about consistency. If a parent has a child, the child know he's loved because the parent is consistent. When you're consistent with your community, you're consistent with your thought process, you're consistent with your example, then you can produce something that's going to be valuable. This is what I'm talking about. So what y'all doing, man, is necessary.
is needed. You got to think, we in prison, we hungry, we being malnourished on every level, food, health care, cleanliness, whatever you have, we being malnourished, and then you are the beacon of light. You shining a light despite the darkness that exists within this place. You coming in with the...
You have 1 minute remaining.
So the people can understand our voice. We don't have no voice. You are our voice. And I thank you. And on behalf of the men in prison, we thank you and we salute you. Real talk.
Appreciate that, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother. You stay strong, man, and we be looking forward to the day you can come work with us side by side.
Yes, sir, man. I'm on my way. And Ricky Neal,
Yes,
who
sir.
was the brother that was telling me get the number? Who was that?
That was Jamie. That's Jamie Mead. That's Jamie.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'll shoot it to you when you call me back later on.
Yeah, he doing big things, man, out here, man. He only been home 6 months, and he doing some amazing things, man.
Yeah, you remember Batman? You know, the Joker was like, "Wait till they get a load of me."
Yep.
They get a load of me, man. You feel me?
Well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for using GTL.
Yeah, that was the brother Carlos King, man. Right on time.
Shout out to brother Carlos, man. It's man, that's just such a refreshing thing to see, man. I'm glad that the people get to witness this, man, because the amount of intelligence that's in prison, man, y'all would be if y'all only knew the amount of intelligent brothers and sisters that are in prison right now, man, it's mind blowing, man. Some of the smartest people that I have ever met are in prison. Some of the smartest people that I've ever met are in prison, and you can see it, man. This brother said it too. Like, it's the trauma that ends up getting us there. Like, we're a traumatized population, and we don't get the healing that we need. And because we don't get the healing that we need, we learn bad coping mechanisms, and these bad coping mechanisms oftentimes will lead us to prison. And that's us trying to self-medicate ourselves and self-heal ourselves. And it's sad when you really look at the numbers, man, of how many people are in prison that shouldn't have been there. How many people are in prison that we could have helped if we got them the proper care, the mental health treatment, all of the things that we're supposed to do as a society. Like, prisons would literally be empty. They would literally be empty if you minused all the traumatized people that are in prison. If we could catch them before, that they land there and actually give them treatment, you'll see that these prisons wouldn't be as packed as they are, man.
Absolutely. Right quick before we get off the line, I just want to say, man, from the victim's perspective, a lot of times, if you was a victim in this circumstances and somebody did some harm to your family member and got sent to prison, sometimes the victims want them to suffer. Sometimes the victim want them to go through turmoil, and that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, when those individuals get there, some of those individuals make a commitment because they try to change their lives around just because of the act that they committed for that victim. So I don't want people to think that that we're just here glorifying those individuals and assisting those individuals that may murder somebody and there's victims involved in it. Those individuals that's coming back out here feel that you never can bring that individual back. You know what I'm saying? But if an individual got the opportunity to redeem themselves and come back out here into society and work in the midst of preventing that happening to the next person's family. And I know it's hard to forgive. But sometimes you got to reach deep down inside yourself and forgive that individual, especially if that individual have changed his life and his lifestyle around.
Yes, and especially when we're talking about juvenile offenders, like the brother that just called, been in prison for 30 years. I'm not the same person that I was 20 years ago. So 30 years ago, I definitely wasn't the same, right? So, when we understand like that the prison is going to be punishment enough, right? A lot of men, they get there and they want to make changes. They want to do the right thing. And we should, as a society, allow the room for redemption. I tell people all the time, we got to leave room for God to do what God do. Because as you can see, brothers go in there, and when they get touched, when they get touched, right? You get this overwhelming sense and this urge to do the right thing and to go above doing the right thing. You hear these brothers, they just coming home. My man been home for 6 months and already he's out serving the community, right? This brother is not even home yet. Another brother not even home yet. And the first thing on his mind is serving the community. That's because we have all of these nights, 15,000 nights to sleep on the error of our ways, to sleep on the impact that we've done to our family, right? Our family, our children, our grandchildren, our mothers, right? We understand that what we did to our families. So the first thing that we want to do is try to correct some of those things. And the only way we can correct is by giving back and community service. That's why you see so many brothers and sisters that have been inside that prison system. They come home and they're ready to work, man. They're ready to change, man. We got, as a society, we have to be better at receiving those brothers and sisters in and give them the space to work, man, because you will see, we're going to keep showing y'all soldiers that come home from incarceration, how they come home and how their attitudes have changed, how their mindsets is ready for something different, and they ready to serve community. So we need to start making space for people, man.
Yeah, and that's across the country. You know what I'm saying? It's just not we just focus. Our status is here in Michigan, but we definitely want to broaden our horizon to other states and other aspects of America to do the same thing. Because it's a returning neighbor situation at this point.
Yes, sir. And anybody watching on the live or the YouTube platform, whenever you may see this video, if you would like to be on the show, send us a message, man. Call us. Well, we'll reach back out to you. You can contact me on Facebook, Justin Counts. You could also hit the Returning Neighbors podcast page on Facebook. Send us a message and we'll get you on the show, man. We want to hear all the stories. We want to hear wherever you at, man. Wherever you live at, all across the country. We want to hear your story, hear what you got to say, and we're going to make space for you. But real quick before we go, we got a couple of events we got to get into real quick, man. We got a couple of events. We got the Returning Citizens Day.
Yeah, Returning Citizen Day is a day that was formulated 2 years ago. This is the third annual event. It's a great event to bring your children out. If you're just coming home from prison and you're here in Michigan and you can make it down there to the Spirit of Detroit, I instruct you to come on out, man. We're going to have a panel of people speaking. We're going to have food. We're going to have fun. We're going to just receive those individuals that's on their way home, that's already here, then return back. No matter how long you've been home, if you've been home as long as I've been home, still come down there, man, because it's a great event.
Yeah, we'll be there, man. I like that, man. I love this. We need more events like this. What else we got up? We got Home a New Vision on June 26th from 6 to 8. They're doing the Recovery as a Lifestyle Change, man. For those that don't know, Home a New Vision is leading the way for recovery in Jackson and all across the state, man, in Ann Arbor too, man. But if you can join out, if you can come on out, man. Recovery is a lifestyle change. They got a wonderful event set up, some speakers and everything. So we're going to be out there too. So make sure y'all tap in.
Cool.
And then last, we got tomorrow, we're going to be at the Capitol for the Legislative Education Day. It's the 15th annual. This is sponsored by the Citizens for Prison Reform. They're advancing justice, supporting families, and strengthening communities. We're going to be out there live for the podcast, man. They want to hear impact stories. If you have experienced solitary confinement here in Michigan, they want to hear your story because they're introducing a bill probably this week into the House to try to end solitary confinement. So we want to hear those impact stories. If you've ever been hogtied in a solitary confinement cell. If you've ever been starved, whatever the case may be, you know, we've heard all types of horror stories from people surviving solitary confinement. So we want to hear your story, and we want to make sure the legislators hear your story, because the only way that we're going to make change is by us coming out to the table and speaking up and telling about the harms that were done to us while we were inside. So this is a day that we get to do that. And I love to support things like this and any type of advocacy work that we got going across the country, man. We need to be on that. We need to support.
And right quick, at that event, they have a replica of a cell, of a cell of solitary confinement. So if you just want to, I know it's like you want to experience how that feel to be enclosed in a cell, it's a replica cell that's going to be there at that spot.
Yes. And you could take a look at it, and they even have virtual reality goggles that you can put on, and they will put you inside a real solitary confinement cell. You can hear all of the noise. You can hear all of the ambient background noise, how that never turns off, and just see, get that first look experience of what it's actually like to be in a small environment like that. It's definitely something to see if you've never experienced it.
As well.
Yes, sir. But that's all we got for today, man. It's been a wonderful episode, man.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate y'all for tapping in, man. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all next week, man. We're going to be live at the Capitol tomorrow, so we're going to record that, and we'll broadcast that next Monday for y'all, man.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Walk back in with a duffel bag, one key, one bus card, one last tag. Mama move, phone dead, rent due. I know the block, but the block don't know you. Paperwork thick like a brick wall. Every form say sign here, I stall. Online page keep asking me to prove what I spent years trying to get loose. First day home, I don't sleep much. Window half open, hearing loose cuffs. My hands still shake when the door latch clicks. Still count steps like a cell block shift. I tell myself breathe, keep pace, but the same old alley got a new face. And everybody say keep your head up, like clean is easy when the whole world fed up. 72 hours, that's the test. Keep my feet on the floor, keep calm in my chest. 72 hours.